What is up, my good people? I just want to explain a concept real quick. Well, it's actually super relevant. I'm just gonna be honest right here. A lot of people aren't very good at, getting to the root of problems. Like there's a lot of stuff in our world. A lot of people say, they want to make the world a better place. Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well, that means fixing problems. And to fix a problem, you have to get to the root of the problem. You know what I mean? And that's actually what I've done. And now the execution of, solving certain problems requires people to learn how a lot of things work because the solution lies in, economic reform, which has to go through, government, which kind of goes through democracy. So that's why I kind of try to teach people stuff economically. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of problems in the world are economic, and it requires an understanding of economics to really see what those problems are and to see real solutions for those problems. It's a real simple concept, really. But anyway, there's a couple things that are, I guess, relevant to that. One of the main things is just money creation. You just look at money creation and say that, people who either create money or have access to money that's just created on the spot, they can then go to a market and buy res. I got stuck in traffic, but he still wants to just jam on the freaking gas. Must be bored or something. He's not going anywhere. He's jammed in traffic. I was just sitting there watching him right there. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. That's what happens when I never mind. I don't feel like getting into it. Yeah, money creation. If people can either create money or have access to money that's created, like on the spot, then they can go to a market, any market, the economy in general, and buy resource, which includes human resource, which includes your labor. You see what I mean? So if all they have to do is create money to then be able to purchase your labor, then basically money creation is almost like, I guess it's almost like slavery. That's what I'll say. It's like a form of economic slavery. If people can literally just create money and then go to a market and buy whatever they want, your labor, the products of your labor, the fruits of your labor, then you are basically a slave to those who create money, because they're doing nothing and you are literally just like working your ass off so you could get a little bit of that money. And that's the thing, like the people in the economy need money to trade, to do business, to trade their labor for somebody else's labor. We have specialization in the economy where people have certain trades, certain skills, whatever. They do that for money so they can go to somebody else in the economy to buy things that they need that they maybe can't provide themselves. Maybe some other skilled trade of some sort. So people need money just for trade. But what has happened is there's been a monopolization of money. That's really what has happened, generally speaking. There's different monies all around the world. Like there's this old term saying that money is universal. It's like, no money's really universal. Like with any given money, there's a group of people that are willing to accept it, that use it and trade with it. And like typically in today's world, or how it's been for a while at least, is certain countries have certain money. So if you go over to another country, you have to exchange the money you have for the type of money they use there, because that's just what they use to facilitate trade. But really, I mean, anybody can accept any money. Like I'm in America, generally people will assume that I'm going to use dollars, but really I can trade for anything. If I decide to, I can accept some Japanese money, some German money, some Bitcoin, some gold, some silver. I can accept any of that if I feel like it. And the reason I would accept any of those is if I understood that they had value. If I understood that I could go somewhere else to trade uh, for something that I actually wanted, and the fair value in that trade would be what I understood I could get, with that money, from somebody else. So like if I'm trading, I don't know, let's say a car, then I'd want enough money that I could go to, you know, whatever market it is that uses that money and get a car, at least equal value. You know what I mean? But generally speaking, don't get too confused. It's not the point here. I mean, we can talk about the dynamics forever. Um, but generally speaking, yeah, money has a user base that really it doesn't have to be dependent on a locality, a geographic location, anything like that. It can just be it can be spread out among people. It's a network basically, and the network is people who are willing to accept that in trade for what they have. And the bigger the network, there is kind of what they call the network effect. The bigger the network, the more people that are willing to accept any given thing as money or accept it in trade for what product they have to offer. The more likely you would be willing to trade what you have for that money, because there's so many people that also are willing to trade what they have for money. So there's a lot of options for buying. There's a market that uses that money, and the bigger it is, the more confident you feel that you can go somewhere, to somebody else and trade for something that you actually want. If not in that market, you can't like directly go from what you have to a certain type of money to directly to something you want, maybe a consumer good of some sort. Then you can trade what you have for money for another money that has another user base that again um, will allow you to get something that you actually want. And like with these trades, that's the thing a lot of people understand is trade value. It's just what the economy is. The economy is trading. Um, I mean, that's pretty much what the whole economy is. It's trading. Basically, using money is just like bartering. It was just like, people traded what they have for, like, let's say gold, because they knew a lot of people would accept gold in trade. But it's still just like bartering, because gold was just like another type of good. You know what I mean? Really, I mean, all the trade that's happening with money as we know it still is just like bartering. I mean, the whole economy is the same old thing, trading. Um, but yeah, people understand trade value, and a lot of people know, like, if you trade for this, but you have to trade to another money, you might take a loss in the translation. And so you might not want to do that. It just depends, like, how desperate you are. You just want to get rid of the thing you have. There's nobody to buy it. That's a supply and demand function. Um, but generally speaking, like, the first point I just wanted to make was money creation. If people can just create money, and go to the market and buy whatever they want, that's basically like slavery. It's literally like they do nothing and you trade your services, your labor, whatever, for that money, because people need the money. And that's kind of where I was going to get myself back on track. What we have today is like a money monopoly. We have money monopolies generally in geographical regions. And people don't seem to understand that there's different options, because the network effect of certain monies is just so strong. And a lot of it started with, like, let's say kings and queens demanding that taxes be paid with certain types of money. Really, I think they outlawed certain types of money. And, it's the same thing in America. Taxes can be paid with the Federal Reserve notes, so on and so forth. But really, I mean, and that's like a legal, what do you want to call it, like, mandate, and really there's a lot of things that government can do to create markets. Like, they can, like, let's say, just like require licensing to do certain things. Then all of a sudden there's a market for, you know, people getting licenses, or let's say there's stuff like that where government kind of, gets in the way of natural market functions and can kind of create markets. So the same thing, deciding that you have to pay taxes with a certain type of money is basically, all right, you're creating a market for that money because, you're telling people that they need that. So they're gonna do what they got to do to get that, and they'll use that to trade, or they're maybe, I mean, really, what people can do, they could use some other type of money, and then when they need to pay taxes, just trade the money they have for some of that, and boom, you can pay taxes with that, whatever money it is, if they really wanted to. But people don't quite understand money because I think they've been like kind of I don't know, just maybe, I don't want to say brainwashed, but they're just so familiar with the way, I mean, the money that we have, and they don't understand the dynamics of money, and that's the problem. That's why people keep getting ripped off. That's why there are, kind of these money monopolies in certain geographical regions where literally, money's being created and your labor is being bought by people who are really like sabotaging the currency that you're using. And a lot of people that are saving with these types of money are going to have their savings wiped out, as these reckless managers of these monetary systems are just inflating the currency to oblivion. You know what I mean? And not only are they just inflating it to oblivion, not only are you going to have your savings wiped out, but they are buying your labor with that money that they create, as they are just, sabotaging the monetary system, wiping out your savings. They are literally buying your labor. They are literally just creating money, going to the market, buying your labor. You're a slave to them. And that's a problem. That is a major liability in the economy when, money is just created on the spot and people can go to the market and buy your labor. It's like, dude, that's major. But that's the thing. If there wasn't a money monopoly, or people understood money better and there was a free market of money and people understood they had different options, then there were these different networks and people were good at, switching between different monies and doing whatever they had to do to facilitate trade without relying on one specific type of money or a certain type of money monopoly that's, poorly managed, maybe even being sabotaged, which ends up, affecting people's lives. It affects the value of money. It affects the cost of living relative to that money. If there's a free market of money and there's redundancy with the monetary systems, then, if one type of money is being fucked around, you know what I mean, and sabotaged, or they're just printing it like crazy and going to the market and buying stuff, then people could just dump it. They could see the value of that product, as a, I guess, financial instrument, and they could say that's trash because it's losing its value as they create more and more of it. It's people would naturally just migrate, the user base of that money would migrate from that to other money if there's better options. You know what I mean? It's just like, if there's multiple car companies and one of them you find out is just making these crap cars, and people realize it, they're like, okay, well, we're not buying that anymore. We're going to start buying these other ones, the ones that are actually, good. It's free market. That's capitalism. That's just a supply and demand function. It's but as it stands with the current, like, money monopolies that we have in certain geographical regions, it's like these monies are just getting fucked around so hard, and people don't have I mean, there are other options, but people don't really understand that. And they keep using this money that is poorly managed, and that certain people are just creating more and more of, and they're getting fucked around. They're getting fucked around. The values shifting up and down. The money in your bank accounts losing value, and these people are going to the market and buying your labor. You're basically like, it's like I said, a liability, and the fact that people just allow it to stay there, it's an exploit, and people are basically opening the door to be exploited when they're allowing these people to just literally create money. Well, really, it's when they're using the money that certain people create, or when they continue to use the money that they know these people are creating and using to go to the market and buy a resource, including your labor. When people just continue ignorantly, I guess, to do that, they're leaving the door open for that type of exploitation, for themselves to be basically used as, I mean, it's just crazy when certain people can literally just create money and go to the market and buy up your labor. It's like, wow, you're literally a slave in that case, because all these people have to do is create money, boom, and now you're doing what they say for that money that they just poofed into existence. That's crazy, and that's because there's money monopolies with these different geographical regions, so on and so forth. But anyway, there's a lot of new options coming out. A lot of people, I think, are learning more about this, which is good. A lot of people are starting to see inflation, starting to see the money's getting fucked around, so on and so forth. I'm explaining it. Hopefully people are seeing that there should be a free market of money. There should be options. So if one's getting fucked around, they can migrate to one of the other ones that are already up and running, a better choice, better product. Like, let's say I'm in a Volkswagen right now. Let's say Volkswagen just, I like Volkswagen actually, but let's say they just started making cars super crappy. Well, we already got Hondas, we got Fords, we got Chevrolets, you know what I mean? It's like, it ain't gonna stop people from driving if all of a sudden, Volkswagen starts making crappy cars. If they start making crappy cars, we just say, okay, we're done with them, and we can use one of the already existing alternatives. It's the same thing with money. We need a free market of money for redundancy. So if one gets fucked around, if the product starts losing value, you know what I mean, then we can go move to something else, and it will close the door to that type of exploit I'm talking about, where money's literally being created, and your labor is being bought, where you're basically an economic slave. But anyway, a lot of people are learning about these alternatives, and a lot of people are talking about maybe going back to gold, back to Bitcoin, or not back to Bitcoin, but maybe to Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. Like I said, there should be multiple options. We don't want to just have all into gold or all into Bitcoin. I'll tell you why, especially because really, like with gold and Bitcoin, with Bitcoin, they call them the whales. There's these people that own a significant supply of Bitcoin, a significant percentage of it, and they bought it when it was really had a low value, and they could just hold on to that, and basically you could say that they've cornered the market of that money when it was at a low value and had a low user base. If people adopt that money and start using it, then the value of it will go up substantially, and then those people who pretty much bought up the whole money supply of those cryptocurrencies, whichever ones they are, they'll then be able to do the same thing almost as the people that could just create the money and go to the market and buy your labor. Instead, they just bought the money supply to begin with, and whenever the value goes way up, they can then go to the market and buy your labor just the same way. And I think it's the same thing with gold. I think the market on gold has been pretty cornered to be the same, or to be the same. What did I just say? To be honest, the market on gold has been cornered, I guess maybe pretty much the same. So if people don't want to be exploited in that same way, you really don't want to go to something, first of all, that's had its supply cornered, but really you want a lot of options. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want there to be money monopolies. You don't want, people to be heavily dependent on one type of money, especially if the supply, if it's just being created on the spot, and the supply is being fucked around, or if the supply has been cornered. You don't want that. There has to be options. There has to be a free market of money, and people need to understand this stuff. It's really simple. And that really, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of problems in this world. A lot of people talk about, I want to make the world a better place and stuff like that. A lot of problems in this world are caused by monetary manipulation, people getting fucked around, or allowing themselves to get fucked around by, staying dependent on certain types of money that certain people are just, like I said, creating on the spot and, spending and so on and so forth. A lot of what we see with like wealth inequalities, stuff like that, is caused by that. I mean, it's a direct thing. It's like very obvious. And so yeah, an obvious solution. That's why I feel like I had to explain this stuff. That's why I try to educate about economics and stuff, is to get some type of, good free market of money going on. And why, like I said, you have to explain this stuff because, the government can try to say, oh, well, we can't allow that, something like that. People have to demand it. People have to demand it of the politicians. Like I said, this is a democratic political situation we have here today on this planet. And if they try to outlaw, a free market of money just so they can keep a certain money monopoly to where their friends can exploit, the laborers or so on, stuff like that, then the people have to understand what's going on there. They have to understand that that's a rigged system. That's fucked. That's an exploit. That's basically economic slavery. And they have to demand that they be allowed to, have multiple types of money, have a free market of money so the economy can function properly, how it should, like I said, like if one gets fucked around, people can just migrate to one of the already existing and up and running alternatives, different types of money. Same thing with like if, a certain car manufacturer starts sucking, there's plenty of other options. You just migrate to that. It's user-based migration. It's demand migration, you might say. If all there was one car company and they started fucking around, then people are screwed. If all there is one type of money that people are using, it starts to get fucked around, the whole economy is gonna crash. You know what I'm saying? It's a major liability. There has to be a free market of money, so the economy can keep up and running. If one of these types of money starts going funky, you know what I mean? It's like having an airplane with multiple engines. If one starts messing up, let's say you got 4 engines, you got 3 other ones, and you can make a safe landing. So yeah, what we need in the economy is a free market of money. We need redundancy as far as our monetary systems go, because if one goes down, if one starts to get fucked around, if it's poorly managed, so on and so forth, then there's already other options that exist that are up and running, and the economy won't even flinch. You know what I mean? People just migrate, from the crappy money and go up to the ones that are already up and running that are good. You know what I mean? And really, the more redundancy, the better, I say. Really, there is a network effect, like I said, and certain monies might win out over others, but it depends, and really, like with new technology, and this is like almost has to do with investing. When new technology comes out that like kind of makes old technology obsolete, the user demand, like the user base, the demand for that technology, the old technology just migrates to the new technology. There's what in investing they say, there's the disrupted, and then there's the disruptors. You know what I mean? The disrupted is the old technology that's made obsolete. The disruptors is a new technology, and I'm telling you, the user base migrates. It's a pretty simple concept. It's really applicable to investing as well. And so yeah, if there's different money coming out, like I said, one might be dominant for a while, but maybe later on some new stuff comes out, so on and so forth, and that's be a free market of money, and maybe people can continue to make better and better solutions to help facilitate trade in our economy. You know what I mean? In the world. And that's what we need. That is, to me, how to optimize the functionality of the entire human economy. You know what I mean? And with that, then we have better equality, so on and so forth. I call this whole concept part of, I kind of call it like egalitarian economics. It sounds good, but egalitarian kind of means like equal opportunity for all. And like if we can fix that in the economy, then yeah, it'll be much more. It'll just be like the optimization of the economy, really. And I kind of call it like the meta organism of mankind, the the industrial machine of mankind. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like this whole, interdependent functionality of mankind, where we're trading and there's supply chains and so on and so forth. The money is so critical to that. And if we can fix that, get that going right, and all we need is a free market of money. People need to understand the dynamics to keep that up and running good. Like I said, four engines on an airplane, one goes down, the plane's still, flying smooth. Flying smooth. um, so so yeah, I think if we can fix that, then the whole economy can hopefully function a lot better. I see it as a major step toward, like I said at the beginning, people all want to talk about, I want to make the world a better place. I see that as a major step in making the world a better place by optimizing the economy. I think it's just so obvious, and it's so primary, so that's something I've been on for a while. I've been trying to explain it. I made a lot of videos talking about it. This is more like maybe a direct version of that. A lot of these concepts, take a while for people to catch on with. A lot of people are talking more and more about how, like, yeah, the money's getting fucked around. A lot more people are talking about Bitcoin and the new different types of money. It's like it's a great, perfect opportunity for people to see. I don't know. They're more up to speed with this whole thing, and I think if we can put the solutions out there, if I could put the solutions out there, I guess. Um, the more and the more that people talk about them and so on and so forth, the more we can actually put good solutions to work to optimize the economy. Like I said, to actually make this world a better place, and that just seems like a major thing that I feel like is really. It seems like it will have a major positive effect with relatively small amount of work. You know what I mean? It's just like a little bit of optimization here, boom, it's gonna have a major positive effect on the whole economic function of mankind. And so yeah, I mean, I can see that, and really, I've thought about that, and it goes back to what I'm saying. Everybody talks about they want to make the world a better place, and that's what I said when I was young, and I said, how can I do that? What's the best way to do that? So, I started thinking about it a lot. I really started to analyze problems. I really got to the root of a lot of problems, and exactly what I'm saying. So it is what it is, and hope you guys understand that. And with that being said, I think I'm gonna leave it at that, and I hope a lot of these solutions can be put to play, put to work. Like I said, a little bit of work, a lot of major positive outcome. And I just see that like really just optimizing the whole economy, like I said, like the whole meta organism of mankind. It'll just like lead to so much prosperity. Like I can give you an example, like multiple examples. Like right now a lot of people are struggling to, a lot of people are basically slaves economically, and a lot of those people are serving, like the top 1% of the economy, the people that pretty much, have, I guess, consolidated a lot of wealth, a lot of money, and they can go to the market and buy people's labor. So a lot of people's labor is going toward just, you know, supporting these luxurious lifestyles of these super rich people, whereas, or I guess where a lot of that labor could and probably should be going toward helping, people who actually need help in their local communities, for instance, stuff like that. So right now, a lot of like the resources being siphoned off by these super wealthy people to support their super luxurious lifestyles, when it should be remaining in local economies, you know, where people are actually kind of helping each other and building up their communities and stuff like that. And what the heck was that? And it's kind of hard to record when I got random. I don't know, whatever. Um, yeah, but that's just one example right there. That's a, I mean, that's a major example actually. These people who have managed to consolidate a lot of wealth, money, so on and so forth. They literally, like, a lot of resource in this economy is just being literally like siphoned off by them, and it's being used to support their luxurious lifestyles. They're living like kings and queens, like with crazy amounts of money, whereas the people who are working for them are basically killing themselves just to put food on the table for their family. It's just an unfair economic system. And so to optimize the whole monetary system, optimize the whole economy by getting some good money to where that wealth consolidation type stuff doesn't really happen, and maybe even it can be undone to some degree. I mean, I don't really know exactly how that could happen. unless people just like undermine the type of money that they either are using or holding on to, and then their life savings go to nothing. Maybe something like that. But yeah, it's really a pretty unfair system, and a lot of it's just really what I like to look at as the resource. The resource is seemingly being siphoned off to support these super luxurious lifestyles of super rich people. And that's kind of messed up, because a lot of the people who are like working for them are literally like killing themselves just to put some food on the table for the family. You know what I mean? And then there's other people that are just starving that could just use help, like charitable help. And I mean, if you get into investing, if you understand like capital allocation and management, it's like what people who have a lot of money should do instead of living super luxurious lifestyles and siphoning resource from the economy. They should take that money and direct resource to where it needs to go to make the world, function better. And that's something that I feel people need to understand about investing and investors, and maybe hold them accountable. Because if they're just super rich and just living these crazy luxurious lifestyles and literally siphoning resource, it's like, dude, y'all are terrible. If they're taking that money and then using it in a charitable way, maybe putting it toward things that, are actually good, then they're kind of directing resource not toward themselves, but toward other people in need, maybe stuff like that. So that's another thing right there, is understanding investing, capital allocation, capital management. And so that being said, that's just a general overview. I think people can, take and try to digest, and there's some good little pieces of knowledge in there. And like I said, I feel like a major solution is to create a free market of money, so people aren't dependent on the money that's being fucked around, where the door to exploitation is wide open. You know what I mean? So a free market of money, and having multiple types of money up and running for redundancy. So if one goes down, we're still smooth sailing. So it is what it is, and I hope you understand. I could probably go on for a while about this, but I think that's just a general quick. I feel like sometimes I need to, though. I mean, this is already like a 30-minute video, but I feel like sometimes I just got to keep like pressing the point home, like, because until people get it, because I mean, I know that this is a good solution. So it's like, all right, well, people still don't get it yet. I mean, I guess it just hasn't been explained well enough or something. So I'm just like, all right, like push until people do get it, because it is, to me, it's an obvious solution. Once you really understand problems, the solutions usually become obvious. You really understand the root of a problem. You say, okay, that's what's messing this thing up right here. Here's how we fix it. We fix that. Boom. And that's pretty much what I've already done. Analyze the situation. A lot of other people have analyzed. I learned a lot of this stuff from other people. So anyway, pretty simple stuff. Hope y'all get it, because how many times I gotta repeat the same thing? Keep driving the point home. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, it's important stuff. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that, and hope y'all understand. I'll talk to y'all later. Be cool, be safe, and let's fix the economy. I'll talk to y'all later. I'm out.